And so in this example, the business is going to lose 25% on their profit margins as of that time. They're going to either eat that or they're going to pass it on to the consumer A. I want to talk about just 2 or 3 examples of how tariffs work on a basic level and do it in a way that is not political because that's not my stance. I want to express this that I am a huge capitalist trying to be as pure as I can, but nothing's completely pure, right? America is a capitalist country, but we have a lot of socialist policies, right? And China is a communist country and they have a lot of capitalist policies, right? It's not pure. Obviously, you can be leaning in a direction. We're leaning, obviously, capitalism here in the United States. I am simply wanting to point out what I've learned over the years of just basic economics, what I consider basic economics. I've ran a number of different companies in my lifetime, and I'm definitely pro business. And a lot of things that happens in business, it makes no sense to me initially. And I say, how can that work? And sometimes I'm surprised. A lot of times I'm not, but sometimes I'm surprised. And I'm thinking maybe this tariff situation would be something I'm surprised by it, right? I'm going to be, I don't think I will be, but I could be. Let me give you an example. When LA was talking about moving the minimum wage to, I think it was $15 across the board for everything, fast food, house cleaning, whatever, right? And maybe it was $15, $20. I thought that would be devastating for small businesses to have to pay that much. History has told me I've been wrong. Okay, I've been wrong. So maybe with tariffs being, as the president states, a revenue source for the U.S. government, maybe it's going to be a good thing. But I'm more of a kind of, grew up on Milton Friedman type of economics, and he believed, as I, still believe, that free markets, free trade is best. Even if other people are giving you, and you can find these videos on YouTube, even in other people are putting restrictions on you, if you're open, you're going to eventually become the leader. Businesses want to deal with open markets. So let's break this down. I'm going to just, for time purposes, I'm going to do this as little abbreviations. So we're going to say the IMP is the importer, okay, slash the business, because that's really what it is. The importer is the business. We're going to call country A. Country A is the big company, let's just say. We're going to have country B, and then we're going to have the consumer in this example of A. And let's just say the product that is being sold right now in country A is going for $100. It's going for $100. Easy math for us. So the importer, the business, is making their product in country B. Okay. And they're making their product for, let's just say, $50. And they're selling their product to the consumer A, for example, for $100. They got 50% profit margins, selling it to the consumer A. Country A decides that they're going to put a tariff, a 25% tariff on country B. Okay, I'm just going to put a T. So the importer, the business, is going to pay that tariff, right? Going to pay that tariff and give that monies to country A. And so in this example, the business is going to lose 25% on their profit margins as of that time. They're going to either eat that or they're going to pass it on to the consumer A. I tell you, it's probably 100% of the time that it's going to be passed on to the consumer. It's not 100%, but if I'm running a capitalist business or make profit business, and let's just say it's a publicly traded business and I'm always having to increase my earnings because we have to report this every 3 months, that's being passed on. Okay, that's being passed on. So in this example, the the consumer is most likely, right, is going to be with a sad face. The business initially, they're going to be a sad face too because maybe the consumer can't pay 25% more and they're going to start losing business. So maybe, I don't know, or maybe they got a sad face, right? The the country A, maybe they got a happy face. They're getting a little bit more, let's just say, revenue in, right? At least it's, not stable revenue, but it's revenue, okay? And then, country B, maybe they, it's a question mark. Maybe they have a happy face, maybe they have a sad face because maybe if the business can't import more from them anymore, or importing less, then they're gonna have to start laying off some people, right? They're gonna have to start laying off some people. They started, their economy started to get affected and so forth, right? So that's why, Canada right now is like, oh, they're really tight. They're like, wow, this is gonna really devastate our 40 million, people economy. We really need the power of the U.S. We need to be able to sell in that market. And but they're not paying that right now. But the business is paying it. But they know if that business has to pay that from something in their country, jobs can start to be lost, things can start to crumble. So that's what they worried about at this point. Okay. And so obviously, if the Canada does a 25% tariff as well, then both sides are being hit, and then both sides can be hurt because businesses, they're going to drift or navigate to the less resistance. They'll take their operations somewhere else to be able to get their margin still, get their profit still. Maybe under the current administration, there's going to be no safe areas. I don't know, right? But that's what businesses do. They adapt, right? They're either going to adapt by increasing prices or they're going to move their operations to somewhere. If they move their operations back to country A, well, then the the people who work for that business, maybe they're going to be happy, but it'd probably be less people working for that business though, because the consumer is might not be happy because now they're paying for something for a lot more expensive because the labor market in the United States, for example, or a bigger country is more, it's higher, right? The cost to do business is higher because the labor cost is higher. So another example I want to give is that we hear about deficits a lot. We hear that we have a trade deficit with Canada. We have a trade deficit with Mexico. We have a trade deficit with China. And so, is trade deficits necessarily a bad thing? If you go listen to the videos of Milton Friedman, and I'm using him because I was, I like him, not because he was a libertarian, in the Republican administration of Ronald Reagan and so forth, but he was universally thought as a leader in the free market space of tariffs and open borders and things like that for trade. Go look at the videos. He didn't think having a deficit of trade was bad. And the reason why is that if in country A you have a thriving economy and the consumers want to buy, let's just say, gym shoes, tennis shoes from country B, and because country B can make those tennis shoes for significantly less, and the consumers of country A is able to get those shoes for a lot less, well, it could create a deficit in shoes, but the businesses of this country A is paying for that. And if they're paying for that, that means they have the business to do it. They're buying a lot of shoes or making a lot of shoes in country B because they have the business to demand it. And that this is a perfect example for like Apple. Apple has the iPhone is produced or mostly produced in China. If it was produced in the United States, that would be great for a number of workers here in the factories or whatever the case may be. But overall, it would be a negative for all the other consumers. because they're repaying more for that iPhone. So deficits, trade deficits are not like the international debt or our gross domestic debt, right? Our country's debt. That's a different ball game, right? That's real kind of problems. Deficits, trade deficits are can be simply your country is just rocking and rolling with their businesses. They're buying more material or products or making more products from a different country and selling them around the world more. That's what it could be, right? And that's what it has been for the United States. Hey guys, we are the global power economically. Our markets are where people come to